The Sunfallen Road, Chapter 18. Later, after he'd gone to bed, I considered what he'd said. He was right, of course. A little prayer never hurt anyone as far as I could see, and maybe I'd get an answer. So I sat in the machine room, which was the one room in our home besides the bedroom that I always felt at ease, and I closed my eyes. I'd never prayed before, and I wasn't sure how one did it, really. But in my mind, I asked for help from whatever powers that were present to help me begin the search for Etienne Guibert. I've said many times before that the voices I heard almost never made sense, but as I sat there, mentally asking for inspiration, they began to resolve into more comprehensible words. I didn't focus on them because I felt instinctively that this would ruin the effect, but I kept my mind placid, like water, letting the voices bounce off the surface and create ripples. Eventually, I clearly heard one voice, a woman's voice. She spoke in a way that reminded me of the sea. Her voice echoed in my mind. "I wondered how long it would take you to find us," she whispered. "What do you mean?" I thought. "You've never been mad, Melpomene," she said. "You hear the voices of the dead, the spirits who linger here on the material plane. You hear your kin. You never listened this way before." For lack of a better phrase, I mentally blinked. This was something Klaus had suggested, that the voices I heard were not the result of madness, but of inspiration. If I was to believe the voice in my head, he was right. "Open your eyes and you'll see," she said. Obediently, I opened them, and what a sight met my eyes. I saw shades of people, shades of the dead, surrounding me. They did not seem angry, but they looked lost, yet their faces were gentle. "We have been here for a long time, Melpomene," the spirit whispered, moving towards me and dusting my face with ghostly fingers. "We are here to help you." Blood tears trickled from my eyes. Hearing them, seeing them, was like coming home. Even though I loved Silver, I had never realized before how alone I had truly felt. Knowing they were with me, I knew I would never feel alone again. The regent of Paris had once spoken to me of the spirits of the dead, those who had either lost their way on the material plane or had unfinished business. I wondered if the spirits that surrounded me were those I had sent on to death in the past, or spirits of another realm, those who had passed on but returned to guide the living. I read about such spirits. I had to guess that maybe these 7 were those, aside from my kin. And there were 7. That night in the machine room, I saw 7 spirits. I knew 7 was a sacred number. It was the number of mystics, and as Silver had told me, it was sacred also to the Virgin Mary. The Pleiades were sometimes called the 7 Sisters, and these 7 spirits surrounded me like a constellation. "Where must I begin?" I asked the spirits, and another spoke. "You must begin in the city of Strasbourg," said the spirit, his voice deep and masculine. "You will face danger there, but if you would seek the lost city, there is one there whose help you will need." I nodded. "When must I go?" "As soon as you can. Time waits for no one, Riverian, not even for a vampire." I nodded again. I had no time to lose. Every second I wasted, the closer to mortality Silver grew. I wanted to grow old with him, die with him. It seemed the most important thing I could conceive. The next evening, I spoke with Silver. I found my inspiration. He understood at once. "You'll be leaving then?" I nodded. He took my hands, pressed them to his lips, pressed his forehead to mine. "When will you come back?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "But I will return. I promise you that." He looked at me, framed my face with his hands, kissed me. "I will wait." We made love all night, almost until sunrise. His passion for me was almost desperate, and I felt loved as I never had before. He fell asleep with me for the first time in a decade, and I held him in my arms, a fierce determination filling my heart. This journey wouldn't be for me. It was for him that owned me and my heart.